Chapter 10. Yeah, definitely borderline obsession. Contrary to popular belief, it definitely was not always sunny in Philadelphia. Such was the case of the next afternoon. Gray clouds covered the skies of the blossoming industrial city. It was a city where points let the weather take its natural course, and today it seemed as though it wasn't about to hold back. However, a bit of wind and a chance of rain wasn't enough to stop the waterboat trainees from practicing their routines. A group of four new flies graced the skies, attempting the death-defying stunts under the supervision of Soren. They had spent most of the morning working out with practically no rest. After all, the Wonderbolts ran on a strict schedule. Finally, the veteran called out to the rookies soaring high above. "Alright guys, time for a breather." Relieved for some rest, the panting Pegasi touched down gingerly next to the mentor. Soren motioned for one, a stallion with a lightning bolt-shaped tail, to come and talk. The stallion was breathing heavily, attempting to take in a deep, relaxing breath. As he stood there, Soren said, "Not bad out there, Sparky. But not the best either. You look kinda shaky out there." The veteran didn't give a chuckle and choked. "Guess I was like a flying blind or something. Anyway, get in shape, and I'll be back in 10. Then, without so much as a nod, the seasoned veteran trotted away, leaving the new group to rest by themselves. Lightning was likely sure what to do at that moment. Soren just gave him a bit of a wake-up call, he supposed. "Flying blind, huh?" he thought, shaking his head. "Sounds just about right." His thoughts were interrupted by the hyper voice of one of his fellow recruits. He was a stallion about the same age as him, with a chaotic red mane that stuck out in every direction possible. As if to match his crazy hairdo, the stallion was chattering away happily as though breathing was unnecessary. "Not bad, mates. Not bad at all," the other rookie exclaimed, taking off his flight goggles. Once Soren was out of range, flying processed to do the same, revealing a blackened eye underneath. Most of the pain was gone now, leaving only a swollen eyelid and impaired vision. Upon seeing this, the red maned stallion was in wonder. Interested, he said, "Wow, that's the weakest shiny you've got there, mate. Where did you get it, Mr. Flash? You can just call me Flash," Lion responded quietly. He was a bit hesitant to show the others his injury. The last thing he needed was for Wonderbolt to think he got into a fight. "Oh, I guess technically I did. But it wasn't really a fight, was it?" Not wanting to dwell on it, Lightning turned back to the other rookie, who had a playful smile on his face. The other stallion gave a friendly wink and continued. "Right then, Mr. Flash. My name's Slips, by the way, in case you'd like to know. Short for Slipstream. But anyway, so where'd you get that black eye, huh?" "Oh, this?" Lightning said, unsure of what to say. But then he shrugged and said, "It's nothing really. Just, flew through a hailstorm." "Yeah." Slips glared at him for a moment, and Lightning thought that he had seen through his ruse. But then the hyper stallion gave a huge grin and patted Lightning in the back, saying, "Oh, been there, done that, mate. That was quite a nasty bed right there, if I do say myself. Hard to believe something so small can be so painful. I almost broke my nose once, you know. Was the size of a baseball, that bugger." "Yeah. Hey, you don't mind telling Soren about this, do you?" Lightning inquired. "Oh, come on, mate. Do I look like the kind of guy who can't give a secret?" Lightning gave a nervous laugh. That statement definitely did not instill confidence in the Steel Stallion. But before he could object, the redhead put his arms around Lightning's shoulders, as though they had been best friends for life, and said to the others, "Alrighty then, mates. What do you say we dash on down to the forecourt and grab a bite before Soren gets back?" The other two rookies agreed happily, while Lightning stood awkwardly in the hold of his new friend. It wasn't Slubs who was making him feel uneasy, though. After all, he seemed like a nice pony despite the hyper attitude. But what bugged Lightning was the fact that just hearing the word "dash" sent another pang of guilt through his chest. Another achy memory rushing back to his mind. And truthfully, he wasn't exactly sure if that meant he cared for his cousin or that he was on borderline obsession. Borderline obsession, huh? Just thinking about it made Lightning shiver. Meanwhile, in the small village of Ponyville, another rainy day was brewing. Up in the sky, Pegasi worked hard to fill the skies with gray storm clouds, hoping to provide water for the parched earth below. The Weather Patrol had once again missed a storm day, so the Pegasi planned to make up for it with a doozy, as Pinkie Pie called it. Below them sat a gloomy Pegasus, who stared up at the flying ponies in envy. Dash was silent, observing the clouds beginning to clump together. It was only a day since it entered that Bronco's bluff, but the Pegasus decided she was well enough to go outside and supervise. Well, she was supposed to be supervising, but all she wanted was to be up there with her winged brethren. Unfortunately, the broken wing put a dent on her plans, and so all she could do was watch in dismay. A voice called out from behind her, saying gleefully, "Glad to see you up and about, Rainbow Dash. How are you feeling?" Rainbow whipped around to see a smiling Twilight Sparkle climbing up the slope. Giving a half-hearted grin, she replied, "Hey, Twilight. I guess I'm alright. I'm working at least, so that's a good thing." Satisfied, the Purple Mare asked, "How's your wing?" The Rainbow Pegasus gave a frustrated groan, turning her face up at the gray sky in disbelief. She said unhappily, Flight says I'm gonna be grounded for 5 weeks. 5 weeks, Twilight. Man, how am I gonna survive without flying? Oh, I'm sure you're just being melodramatic, Rainbow, Twilight scolded her angel friend. 5 weeks to fly by just like that. Oops, no pun intended. Dash had a smile at Twilight's attempt to cheer her up. And yet the Pegasus just couldn't look at her friend the same way again. Wasn't Twilight the very same pony who said she had to be more like lightning, opening up a wound that never really closed in the first place? Wasn't it at Twilight's house where she had abruptly stormed out in a fit? But here Twilight was, acting like her old, kind self as though nothing happened. Dash was confused, and she didn't like that one bit. The Pegasus hadn't realized how sad she looked, her face meshed in the gloomy, gray clouds gathering above. Twilight saw this and she said, "Listen, Dash, I know it's very difficult for you to be grounded, and not being able to say goodbye to your cousin must be hard for you as well." "Well, you've got half of it right," Dash said in her mind. "But you have to realize that breaking your wing in that cliff was much better than the alternative. I mean, if something were to happen to you, I don't know what we would do. So be glad you're still alive, Rainbow Dash." Did she whisper faintly so Dash wouldn't hear? "No, I am." Her unicorn's friend's words dug deep into Dash's heart. She couldn't help but feel touched that her friends cared so much. But then she remembered how they acted yesterday, of how they had blown her off so callously. Dash could have sworn they didn't care for her. But now, after seeing Twilight's small display of affection, she wasn't so sure. Dash was so caught up in her thoughts that she didn't realize Twilight had snuck off back to town. So the Rainbow Mane Pegasus just sat on the hill alone, contemplating her dark, conflicted thoughts. Lightning was in the locker room, stashing away his flight suit for yet another rainy day. He had a towel draped on his back like a saddle, feeling refreshed from the soothing warm shower he had taken. It was a nice change from the cold, humid environment of Philadelphia. He had been with the Wonderbolts for 3 days now, and for the whole time it had been raining non-stop. The Scion paused for a moment to observe a mirror. Lightning's eye had begun to get better. However, a small purple outline still circled his eye socket. "Oh, well, at least it's not as noticeable," he thought. Lucky too, since yesterday he had a photo shoot for the Wonderbolts article. It definitely would not be good publicly if his black eye was splashed all over the cover of an international magazine. Satisfied with his inspection, the Pegasus went back to his little compartment. As the Stallion placed his uniform carefully inside his locker, he got a glimpse at a piece of cloth hanging on a hook inside. It was the bandana Red had given him, the one with the glimmering jewels that matched his tail. Lenny couldn't help but stare sadly at the measly piece of cloth. Then back to the ragged old bandana tied around his neck. The gift was nothing but a bitter reminder now, a testament to the fateful fest that had only taken place 3 days ago. On the other side of the locker was a sheet of paper. It was a monthly schedule for the Wonderbolt shows. 2 days caught Lightning's eye. The first was a small little appearance at the end of the month. It was only one during that week, but even so, the days sent a chill through Lightning's spine. November 30th, Maracaibo, Venezuela, 7-8. Venezuela, his hometown. The very place he had run away from. Guess I know when I'm calling in sick, Lightning thought, a friendly gaze to the rest of the calendar. November 24th, Appaloosa. November 22nd, Manhattan. Blah, blah. November 12th, Ponyville. Well, that can't be right, Lightning thought in disbelief. He looked to today's date, November 8th. They had just had a show there 3 days ago. Don't they have anything better to do? It was much too soon for this time to go back there. Especially with the lingering memory of a certain Scion Pegasus still in his mind. Maybe I could get 2 sick days this month, Lightning thought sadly. Suddenly, they heard the sound of the locker room's door swing open, banging hard on the wall. Startled, Lightning shut his locker door and turned to the incoming Pegasus. It was Slips. The red-maned pony had a huge perpetual grin plastered on his face and a towel wrapped on his head. "Man, someone's been working us to the bone, mate. Looks like some ponies rammed the roo up his flank, if you know what I mean," Slips said jokingly. As much as Slips seemed like a nice guy, Lightning really was in the mood for conversation. quietly responded, no, actually, don't. His companion just smacked him in the back, making his swing even sore, and replied with his fast-paced speech. Oh, what no worries, Mike. Just an old saying we Aussies stay back home. Came from Nay, by the way. Sydney, by the way, just in case you hadn't noticed. Have you heard of the place? Well, actually, I've been there for a bit. For some work. The steel caused down and replied awkwardly. Before Lenny could politely excuse himself in the locker room, Slopes continued. Oh, well, it's a beautiful place, am I? Nice, warm, there ain't nothing like home sweet home. Yeah, of course. Hey, listen, I couldn't do. So anyways, Mike, have you been hearing about what's throwing up at Cloudstale? Lenny gave a sigh of annoyance, realizing that he wasn't getting out of this one. So reluctantly he replied, no what? Well, you see, there's this meeting going on between the mayor and the flight officers who run the joint. Apparently, they're thinking of notifying the results of Lucky Shell flight competition. Apparently, they found out the winner never actually graduated from flight school. Can't have that now, can we? Sip said quietly. Lenny's ears perked up at the mention of the esteemed competition. Really? Who won? Fudge inquired, even though he had already had a feeling in the pit of his stomach, in his gut. The Red Mane Pegasus answered, why, none other than the infamous Rainbow Dash herself. You know the story, right? The news truthfully didn't surprise the Steel College Stallion. But although his face didn't show it, Lenny could sense the uneasy feeling in his stomach grow at the sound of his cousin's name. All of a sudden, it seemed as though the fluorescent lights became blindingly bright. The sound of rain outside became increasingly louder. Nervously scratching the back of his neck, Lenny lied. Not really, no. It seemed as though Slopes was hoping to tell a story, because a mischievous look gleamed in his eyes. Standing his toe in his locker, the companion began. Really, mate? Used to be what every pony talked about. Heck, Peter's still speaking of it right now. You see, Dash was one of the best fighters in the class there, their star athlete. She pulled off these stupendous tricks that Peter didn't even know existed. But although her skills were amazing, her personality was anything but. It almost seemed like she'd always had to prove that she was better than everyone else. But nobody cared. After all, she was a star athlete. Part of Lenny wanted to just burst out and defend his cousin. But then he remembered the argument they had in the hospital. The look of pure hatred on his beloved cousin's face. And so he held his tongue as Slopes continued his tale. Then one day, she just dropped out. Disappeared off the face of the earth. Imagine how everybody felt when they found out that Superstar just decided to leave for no apparent reason. People didn't know what to do when that happened, truthfully. Everybody felt betrayed. And rightly so, right? And then all of a sudden, she pops out of nowhere and steals one of the biggest competitions for rising stars. Lenny could have stopped Slopes from speaking right then and there, but for some reason he felt compelled to let him continue. Perhaps the electric stallion enjoyed hearing other stories about the infamous Rainbow Dash. Maybe it was just justification for the runaway Pegasus. Whatever the case, he let Slopes recount his story. Don't ask me how they didn't know who she was at first. I mean, she has a bucket rainbow mane. It's not like she even tried to hide her identity. She even performed her sonic rain boom. How could they not recognize who she was? The things ponies think these days. Not even remember the bitch that ruined the entire town's reputation. Hearing this stallion refer to his cousin with such vocatory brought lightning back to reality. Although Dash's harsh words still rang in Flash's mind, she was still his family. And Slip's harsh tone seemed much clearer at that moment anyway. So the Legend Pegasus quietly but forcefully replied, Hey, don't talk about her like that. But the Aussie Pegasus threw his toes in the air and asserted, Why not, mate? It was her fault Cloudstone went from one of the top flight schools to absolutely mediocre. I didn't want to transfer to another school that was just as bad as the one I left. When she dropped out, ponies were devastated. Soon, others began to lose confidence and drop out as well. Without a star Pegasus to glue everything together, Cloudstone practically imploded in less than a year. Every word that was spewed at the Aussie pony slips only made Lightning resent him even more. The steel Pegasus subconsciously began to grit his teeth, trying to send a clear message to the hyperactive stallion. Shut up. But Slopes took absolutely no heed of Lightning's body language and said, The closest thing we ever had to Star Wars is her cousin, right? Can't remember his name, but I do remember he was a foreign exchange student like myself. But the poor guy had some problems as well. He was delusional. Kept defending his meal of a cousin even though she left him distraught in the dust of a city she destroyed. Tried a bit too hard, that idiot. Soon he couldn't handle the pressure either and he left too. Probably for the scrappy home country or some crazy shit like that. Maybe the stallion could have taken Slip's insults to Dash. But hearing the red mane pony's brash, stinging comments about him stirred up Lightning's anger. But it wasn't because of the insults themselves. Instead, it was the fact that they were all true. Every single bit. And Lightning couldn't take another reminder of his past. Trying to stop his companion from saying anymore, Lightning said angrily, "Listen up, amigo. You'd best be shutting your mouth before I shut it for you." Oh, there, mate. Do I sense a bit of protection in your voice? What's wrong? She your girlfriend or something? Slipstream taunted. Let me tell you something, Flash. Your friend's an arrogant, cocky piece of shit. It took Cloud years to get even close to the way they were when Dash was there. Then, after all those years, she had the guts to draw back to the very town she betrayed to show her moves. I mean, what's a class, Mike? What a cocky jackass. And if you're going to defend her, then you're a piece of shit just like her. Just like that, something within Lightning snapped. He thought back to his coat hood and the hateful glares of the ponies at Venezuela. Of how in their eyes, anyone who defended Rainbow Crash was just as bad as her. He heard those words every day, over and over, until finally the young cook couldn't face it anymore. Lightning thought he had escaped it all, sacrificing his home to do it. But apparently those words had come back to haunt him after all these years. The ignorance, the ruthlessness, the wrath, they were all still there, manifested in his Aussie Pegasus and thinks he knows everything. Needless to say, Lightning didn't like it one bit. He wasn't about to let some Aussie Pegasus make fun of him, or Rainbow Dash for that matter. Without thinking, the stallion let his hook connect with the fast-talking Pegasus' snout. Lightning put everything he had into the punch, letting years of anger and frustration explode in a rush of anger. The impact knocked the victim down the ground, clutching his nose in pain. A small trickle of blood dripped down onto the linen floor. You fucking bandit! Lightning yelled, pointing to the Pegasus bird before him. The Aussie slowly got back up, clutching his broken nose. Even though stars still dotted his vision, and the world spun around and around, the remain pony said, "You're dead, mate. Split fast duck to be happy." With that, Slit slipped out the door, groaning in pain. Lightning stood alone in the cold locker room, letting his heart settle. Outside, the rain kept coming, attacking the windows mercilessly with a sharp patter. He watched when the dim lights flickered on and off. Realizing what he had done, Lightning went back to his locker and slowly creaked it open. The sign stared sadly at the bandana plainly hanging on the clothes hook inside. Yes, it was the final object representing that fateful day. But after everything that has happened, Lightning wasn't sure if those memories were worth anything anymore. Finally, he whispered, "Looks like I screwed up, Article. I tried to protect you. Again. Guess old habits die hard." The dejected stallion swiped the bandana off the rack, throwing the shimmering gift in the garbage. Then he took the schedule and tore the sheet of paper in two, placing it with the piece of cloth in the trash can. He wasn't going to need it anymore. 3 days later, and rain still hasn't fallen in Ponyville. Apparently, the storm day was postponed so gardens and farms like Sweet Apple Acres could pick the last few crops before the wind blows them all away. That was the excuse anyway. Rainbow Dash knew they were just covering up for massively screwing things up. And that was just fine by her. After all, they did mess up under her watch. 2 days ago, the Pegasi were getting ready to move a giant mass of clouds to Ponyville. Rainbow Dash was supposed to be making sure nothing went wrong, but certain things were still on her mind. Sometimes family matters can weigh down upon a pony, and such was the truth for Rainbow Dash. She thought she had been recovering well, both her wing and her conscience. But when she saw those storm clouds, she couldn't help but think about Lightning. It was only for a few seconds, but in an occupation dealing with volatile weather, a few seconds was more than enough for everything to go wrong. Dash was too distracted to see a few rookies of weather patrol roughhousing near the enormous cloud of clouds. One accidental push later, and the ever-free forest found itself drenched in rainwater while Ponyville remained totally dry. There was not even enough water for drizzle once the infertile forest had been soaked. Because of that incident, the Pegasi were now supposed to scour the land for any clouds they could find. Unfortunately for Dash, that meant going out of Ponyville, a task she definitely wasn't in condition for. Once again, all she could do was watch as her team went out to the outer reach of a question without her. The injured mare couldn't help but resent those Pegasi, only because they could fly while she had to stay on the ground. It had only been 3 days, and already she was missing the feeling of flight. Yeah, that thing is about 5 weeks flying by quickly, Twilight. It's not happening, Judge Mark to no one in particular. Seeing as though she couldn't do anything else, Rainbow decided to pay a visit at Jack's farm. Maybe I can help her out, thought Dash. Quite ironic considering that just a few days ago, Dash was content with her cousin doing all the work at the Apple Acres. But now she wanted to help, mostly for the attention rather than the duty. Mostly, she just wanted to make sure that her friends still noticed her. Dash found herself nearing the farm. She stared at the apple tree, which were already plucked dry. Not a very good sign, but the Pegasus continued onward. She walked up to the door and gave it a gentle knock. At first, there was no answer so Dash gave another rap on the door. this time with a bit more force. Still no answer. Disappointed, then Rainbow Mare turned to go find someone else to talk to before a small object caught her eye. Laying on Applejack's porch was a small magazine, which must have been recently delivered by Ditsy Doo. Seeing as though she had nothing else to do, Dash decided to pick it up and examine it. Reading across the top in bright yellow letters with the words Mournables Weekly. Underneath it, in red print, was the subtitle Meet the Rookies. On the cover stood 4 Pakistani clad in wonderful flight suits. Their hoods and goggles were pulled down, revealing their faces. One, a stallion, looking completely insane with his frosted red mane and a gigantic grin. The two on the right, both mares, looked meh, not much to it out on them. I guess they look nice, Dash thought. But what really took her attention was the figure standing at the far right side of the cover. It was partially obscured by the red-maned stallion, but no amount of anything could hide the shimmering tail of lightning. It was her cousin, giving the same mild grin he always gave. But that grin only made Dash sick. That's supposed to be my spot, not yours, Dash thought spitefully. In a fit of wrath, she screamed at the grinning stallion on the cover. Why can't you stay out of my life? Then the Pegasus tore the magazine too, hurling the house across the porch. Ahem. Dash turned to see Applejack staring at her in discontent. The Pegasus didn't see a friend come up to her while she was raging, and now the honest ponies looked at her with a cautious eye. Well, Sugar Cube, you're the one on my porch, not the other way around. I think it's time you got some rest, Applejack said, going up to the injured Pegasus. And next time you get angry, Artie, please don't worry about my mail. The Pegasus was quite embarrassed, and with a nod she trotted out towards her home without speaking. As she galloped away, Applejack pondered out loud. Now what's gone into that pony's head? If she wanted an answer, she was going to have to look elsewhere, because Rainbow wasn't sure herself. In fact, the only thing that was evident in Ponyville was a dark rainstorm brewing in the horizon.